That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
There we go. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Comic Reviews. I'm Super2, and I've got a decent-sized week. Nothing to really write home about, but not the smallest week on record. I should have cleaned up my desk first, but I was busy and Russian to get here, as opposed to busy and Ukrainian to get here. Ha 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 ha! I got the jokes. This is why you're subscribed and you know it. Anyway, so this week on Comic Reviews, we have Adventures of the Supersons, number 11, Female Furies, number 5, Savage Avengers, number 2, Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys Marvel History, number 4, Batman, number 72, The Green Lantern, number 8. And as I mentioned last week, Trade Talk, as well as a couple other shows on this channel, are taking a brief break while I work on a side project. And honestly, I'm a little annoyed I'm not working on it right now, so I'm just getting into the show and seeing if maybe I can devote like an hour or something to it tonight. Anyway, so we start off with Adventures of the Supersons, number 11. Love the cover. From the Darkness, Doomsday. Really not, like, Doomsday is in the issue and it's adorable, but it's not like the major thread of the issue. Everything's wrapping up in a pretty enjoyable way, I think, here. The boys and the allies they've made along the way have cornered Rex Luthor, and of course Rex Luthor is a super genius, 12th level intellect, and has thought of everything, so instead he has them surrounded, and we just get a big epic fight between the boys, their allies, and all these wannabe supervillains. It's pretty fun. You know what I love about young John Kent's hair here? This is totally a game of Guess the Protag. You know, just look at it. It's so Guess the Protag. Man, it's too much fun. I love this stuff. And so we've also got we got Doomsday, and then we got Teen Bane in the fray here, and that's pretty cool. We got a kid camo and all this stuff. I really think Tomasi's having just the time of his life with these puns. One thing I really liked is Damian fights Bane and John fights Doomsday at the same time, and they kind of get taken care of at the same time. The art here is it's super fun, super great. As Damian wraps him in a grapple and John throws it at Chemo, and I thought that was pretty good. Because Bane and Doomsday are really almost the exact same character in function in a number of ways. Not obviously in portrayal, but in what purpose they served of escalating villains to the point where they could beat the heroes, and ultimately it's just this big mega threat that's not even really fair. So I think that's kind of cool to send them off at the same time. It's got some interesting commentary on it. Anyway, Rex Luthor is left the last man standing after this fight, so he takes off to try to break through this portal to Earth, and John and Damian follow him and try to get through there in time. Absolutely adorable scene as Rex cuts Damian loose, and Damian's like, "John can catch me anytime," and John does, and it's cute, and I love them. And they go through the portal, and it looks like they might just make it to Earth, but then they're in the white. Oh, they got trapped in the white. They even broke the panel. God, how's that for a fucking lock screen? It's the... But it turns out that they're in the white because Rex Luthor anticipated them and has caught them in his wannabe cosmic cube. And now the reason he finally reveals the thing that's been kind of honestly irking me since the beginning of the series, why he calls himself Rex Luthor. And it's because what Rex means on Earth. King. And so that's his plan, is to become king of Earth, and I'm super excited. Issue 12 is going to be really, really bittersweet to me. Let's go on in the live comments. Terry says, R.I.P. John. Yeah, I'm thinking that's almost over. Rob says, I've been buying Supersons in the hopes it helps the main series get revived, but I stopped actually reading at 10, like issues sort of is a slog. Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting series because I agree the plot has been kind of meandering and all over the place. But I'm reading this book 100. I've said it over and over again throughout this series. I'm 100% reading this book for the character dynamic, and the character dynamic is so strong. The character writing is so strong. They can literally be doing anything, and I wouldn't care. This can be a book about Damian and John going out for coffee, and I'd be fine. It's got the trappings of a big, crazy superhero invasion kind of thing, and that's pretty much it. And I really don't care, because that's not the part I'm reading it for. It certainly serves the thing I am reading it for, though, which is the character interaction dynamic. So yeah, good stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and move along here. Talk about Female Furies number 5, a book that is totally not political. Who did the cover? Cover by Julian Tontino Tedesco? Julian or Julian? I'm going to go with Julian. That's a gorgeous cover. Very Alex Ross almost. So one of my problems with the original Mr. Miracle series is I think that Jack Kirby has created a really, really interesting world in the Fourth World, but I think I like what other people have done with it more, almost without exception. And so in the original Mr. Miracle run, Barda shows up and joins up with Scott, and it's kind of like a big deal because she's up until that point, everyone from Apocalypse that met Scott wanted to kill him, and then Barda's the one that doesn't. But then the Female Furies go searching for Barda and end up joining him too, and so it just made them feel less special. It made Apocalypse feel less diminutive because of that. And so this kind of takes the premise and it really works, where the Furies follow Barda to Earth, and Barda has just gotten to Scott. She finds him mid-escape attempt, and they kind of confess their love for each other. It's a really sweet scene. And then the Furies kind of hunt him down really quickly, and Barda and Scott and the Furies all get into a fight. But ultimately, Barda's able to kind of hold her own against it, and they reach an understanding that she's not going back. Meanwhile, Granny's scheming in the background, and Barda talks about why she left, and she makes the Female Furies realize that, yeah, they've been treated that way too. And so they decide, you know what, Willick, the guy that tortured them and harassed them, he deserves to pay for what he did to their former friend Ariel. And so Barda agrees to go back with them just to punish Willick. Meanwhile, Granny Goodness is scheming with the Lump, who she reveals is a composite of DNA from hundreds or not hundreds, from all the most powerful players on Apocalypse. Darkseid, herself, Steppenwolf, yada yada. So then the Furies come back with Barda playing the game that they've captured Barda and killed scot-free and yada yada yada. In order to get the drop on Willock, they kidnap him. And Willock says, "I am an innocent man. I love women. I have a sister, I think. I was born from a mother. I'm the real victim here." And then they strap him up to a machine and say, "I'm just a man loyal to Darkseid. I only hurt people the way others cause hurt. No different from anyone else. These accusations you made destroyed my good name, a good name built up through decades of very hard work and public service at the highest levels." And then they turn on a miniature black hole that rips him apart for all eternity. I don't think there's anything political about this book whatsoever. I think that is just the face of a crying man with blondish, reddish hair, who is truly a sniveling coward but has used power and abused it for years. I think that's all that is, and there is no political subtext to that panel or that sequence whatsoever. None. Just none. It's just stories, guys. It's just comics. They're just stories. Just turn your brain off. Don't think about it. In any case, so yeah, the Furies exact some pretty fucking sick-ass vengeance, which is... trying to think of how to word this. Uniquely satisfying in a twisted way for superhero comic books. So often you'd have characters put in this situation where they can do something awful to someone who has been awful, and then they choose not to because it's the moral, right, upstanding thing to do. It'd be easy, it'd feel so good to do something awful to this person who's done nothing but bad. But I am a paragon of moral values, so I will not. At the same time, it is really dark and twisted to see someone ripped apart by a fucking black hole and tortured for all eternity. Was not expecting that. And it's definitely not framing it in a fully positive light. It's framing it as playing into Darkseid and Granny's hands. It's played as beneficial and predictable, and I think that's kind of the interesting thought. If Apocalypse is a trap, Barda and the Furies are kind of caught in it. So I'm curious to see where it goes after that. Yeah. So that's pretty much the story. I'm really curious to see how it all concludes. One of my big problems with a lot of miniseries that DC and Marvel do is we'll have like a 6-issue miniseries, and by issue 3 they're still all in setup mode. They haven't actually gotten to a lot of the meat. They're still like introducing players and stuff. We're at issue 5 of 6, and this really does feel like it is all building to a head, and the next issue is going to, resolve everything. And so I really appreciate that. This is a well-paced series, most certainly. So that's good. Alrighty. Speaking of pacing and building stuff up in comics, let's talk about Savage Avengers #2, which is probably not a very well-paced book, but hell if I'm not enjoying it. I kind of knew I'd be getting into this with Marvel, where, sometimes it'll take one issue to set up a team in a DC book, maybe 2. We're 2 issues in, and like half the team hasn't even met each other except for tangentially, much less forming a team. So that's fun. Anyway, We get the origin of one of our villains. He was a World War II German Luftwaffe pilot who got trapped in the Savage Land and indoctrinated into a cult by a wizard, as you do. So he's a Nazi wizard pilot. I really like this scene where, he meets the wizard, and the wizard says, "What do you offer me?" and, grabs his head and goes, "Yes, your heart is perfect." And you just see, Red Skull's face and concentration camps, and it's like, yeah, okay, if that's perfect qualifier, then yeah, that's a pretty good fucking qualifier. Is this guy's... that shows you how evil this wizard is, that the Holocaust is a qualifier on resumes to join his cult. Thought that was pretty good. Anyway, Wolverine's fighting ninjas who killed Brother Blood. Or, not Brother Blood, sorry. Brother Voodoo. And so he tries killing all the ninjas, and then he tries something kind of crazy on Brother Voodoo. He slits his own hand to get it bleeding, and then reaches into Brother Voodoo's chest and pulls out his heart to try to get his mutant healing blood to heal Brother Voodoo's heart. Okay. That's, it's a crazy-ass plan, and I kind of love it, and it also makes no fucking sense whatsoever, and you'll never convince me otherwise. And it fucking works! I kind of enjoy just how off the wall this is. Not that it seems to matter, given the amount of blood and gore that's already been in the series, but this really should just be a Max book at this point. Meanwhile, Conan the Barbarian, who's been trapped in the Savage Land, goes to steal an amulet off said wizard who uses the Holocaust as a job application qualifier. So Conan's trying to steal this amulet, and the wizard's trying to stop him and capture him, and Conan realizes the only weapon he has at his disposal is this symbiote in a jar. And smashes it on the wizard's face, releasing venom briefly and giving Conan time to escape. So we're setting up our players. All our players are getting on the board right now, and then at issue 6 they'll finally all be on the same side fighting against the thing, and then they'll be like, should we be an Avengers team? And fucking Frank Castle will be like, no. And then they'll be like, well, Frank, we're an Avengers team anyway. You're just going to be the sourpuss Batman member who's only a part-time Avenger. So there. But at the same time, you get some cool-ass shit. Like, that. I really like that. Is that all you got? That's a really good image of Wolverine. You can't not dig it. If I had to pick one image to really summarize Wolverine, I think this is pretty fucking close. I mean, I might edit the word balloon a little bit and just, is that all you got, bub? But still, that's a pretty Wolverine image right there. Anyway, so luckily this is all bluster from Wolverine, and the ninjas are about to kill him, because, like you do. But then Brother Voodoo is able to resurrect, and he thanks Logan for whatever the hell he did. Meanwhile, the Punisher appears. And Punisher has been brought onto the board because they stole the bodies of his family. And that's no good. So he's like, where? And then he collapses, and the ninjas think they have him, and one of the ninjas says, "We weren't sure you would fall for such an obvious trap, Punisher." Wait, what does that say? And you notice there's this little thing on his back, and Frank's down there, and then it says, front toward enemy, and Frank releases a trigger, and then a bomb goes off and kills all the ninjas. Frank gets up and says, where's my family? I have no idea if that would actually work. So I guess we're 2 for 2 so far between Wolverine using his mutant blood to try to resurrect Brother Voodoo, and Frank Castle putting a fucking ordnance on his back to try to blow up a bunch of ninjas. I guess we're 2 for 2 on things that shouldn't work but apparently do. So that's funny. It's whatever. Keep going. Do you, Frank Castle? You lovable dolt. Oh, I love Frank Castle so much in all the wrong ways. Excuse me. Philip Colton says, the Venom symbiote is alone, right? Yes! I have no idea what's going on in mainline continuity. I saw Donnie Cates tweet today that, yeah, Eddie Brock has stone armor right now and the symbiote's off on its own. And I'm like, whatever! I gave up on Venom so long ago, it feels. Mano says, Lindsay and I didn't officially meet until the 5th issue of our story arc. That's sweet. This makes no sense, and yet it's working. That could be like just you could do a collection of comic book moments like that. I wish Marvel really would try to maintain the Max line. I could go for it. Therefore, we shall be known as the Sourpuss Avengers. Yeah, probably. So, for those that don't know, Cosmic Ghost Rider is Frank Castle given the Spirit of Vengeance and the Power Cosmic when he was the Herald of Thanos. Cosmic Ghost Rider Frank Castle has now traveled back in time to the very beginning of Marvel history, or not the beginning, to early in Marvel history when Thanos was a baby. And now he is taking the long way back, and it has all led to this moment where he has walked into his old house and introduced himself to his old family in an attempt to try to bring everyone closer together. And that was working fairly well until present Frank Castle showed up, and so now he's beating the shit out of him, and it's not going well. And so when present Frank Castle knees future Frank Castle in the balls, that's when he decides, okay, fuck you, and brings out the skull Bernie face. At which point, present Frank Castle says, what are you? I'm the spirit of Christmas future, bitch. I love it. That is such a great line for Cosmic Ghost Rider to say to Frank Castle. And then, of course, we have to tell a story that takes place in Marvel history. And so, Cosmic Ghost Rider Frank Castle shows present Frank Castle a picture of him with Captain America and the Howling Commandos. And so we get a story about Cosmic Ghost Rider Frank Castle fighting in World War II with Captain America, storming the beaches of Normandy. And he's just having the time of his life killing Nazis with Captain America. You know, any book that has the political will and fortitude to shoot a Nazi just for their political beliefs is something that I morally object to. Nazis have opinions too, and they deserve to be respected. Not shot in the face and just blatantly tortured the fuck out of. I'm getting a lot of Inglourious Bastards feels here as we just see the Howling Commandos just torture the shit out of a Nazi colonel. Like, they pull out his cyanide tooth, and then they're like, Dum Dum Duggan comes up and he says, hey, let's see if we can knock some more teeth loose, and just starts wailing on him with a fucking bat. And I'm like, whoa! Did Quentin Tarantino write this book? Jesus! You know, I don't think the MCU has the balls for it, but if we got a series of the Howling Commandos just doing Inglourious Bastards straight up, I could dig the hell out of it. We've already got MCU Howling Commandos, but still. Anyway. Oh, man. So then Frank Castle is joined up with the Howling Commandos, and the Germans fear him, and he's also able to pose as Red Skull by painting his face red when it's on fire, which means they burn through the paint really quick. And he only knows one word in German, and seriously, it's fucking... It's Inglourious Bastards in the Marvel Universe. I'm kind of in love with it. Anyway, so yeah, like seriously, Frank Castle is pretending to be Red Skull as they infiltrate this Nazi castle. Nazi castles are the best thing ever. As they infiltrate this Nazi castle, but he only knows one word in German, which is Gesundheit, Gesundheit, Gesundheit. He keeps saying Gesundheit as the Red Skull. That might be either the dumbest thing ever or the funniest thing ever. I have yet to decide. It took me way too long to figure out, and I feel bad for that. Anyway, so yeah, their plan kind of goes to shit pretty quick, but it's okay because Cap and Bucky are there, and Cap tells them, "Hey, go after the dudes. Bucky and I are gonna take care of the bomb thingy," and they're like, "Oh well, we all know how that story ends." Duh, sad face. But it's okay, because guess what Cosmic Ghost Rider got to do? He got to kill Hitler. Oh man, you have no idea how cool this is going to be for me. It's like the number one goal of anyone who's traveled back in time. Or, not that I've done that or anything, as Cosmic Ghost Rider gets ready to kill Hitler. Oh... I love it so much. It's literally the best. Terry's in the comments trying to apply logic to the situation like a fucking idiot that doesn't understand the sheer absurdity of Cosmic Ghost Rider. I'm sorry, I'm just fucking around. Yeah, so technically the Power Cosmic should allow Cosmic Ghost Rider to know German, but then we wouldn't have the beauty of Red Skull saying Gesundheit. Oh man. So anyway, that all wraps up when President Frank Castle, like I love this. They called it suicide because that would be more demoralizing to the Nazis, but yeah, I killed Hitler. And when I came back home, everything else just felt boring by comparison. And then Frank Castle just looks over and he goes, "You know what? I don't care if that's true. That's the greatest story I've ever heard in my life, and I want it to be. Let me get you a beer for real this time." So, actual President Frank Castle really likes Cosmic Ghost Rider Frank Castle now. And that's sweet. I'm so happy for him. And then we get the cliffhanger, which is Latu sitting there annoyed at Cosmic Ghost Rider's time fiddlingness, journeys to the future to see what the ramifications will be. And it's too horrible to show us. Until next issue. Cosmic Ghost Rider destroys Marvel History number 5, in which he'll apparently wield Mjolnir and Cap's shield all at one time, because, as we all know, comic book covers absolutely never mislead us. Yeah, ever. Name one time a comic book cover was misleading. You can't do it. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and go on and talk about Batman number 72. It's a good issue. There's really nothing wrong with it. It is entirely a catch-up issue, which is, again, it's not a problem. I am a little disappointed because, like, if Tom King were still doing his 100 issues on the title and that was just not going to be a problem, it'd be one thing, but because it's a catch-up issue, it feels kind of like a okay, this is for the people that haven't been appreciating the run, and I'm like, damn it, so that's kind of a wasted issue for the people that have been. It's still really well written, and it's kind of cool to see how the grand plan, how the machinations have all been working. And it is really neat to see all this art kind of revisited in throughout the run, kind of summing everything up. So we have like the I Am Suicide arc in a 2-page spread, then we've got some fighting of Bane, and then we've got the War of Jokes and Riddles in a 2-page spread, then we've got some fighting in an ad, and then we've got more fighting in an ad, and then we've got the kind of the whole marriage, or not marriage, the whole engagement as a 2-page spread, because that was a big part of it. So we're just like revisiting these moments from the run in these spreads as we kind of like think about everything that's happened. Then we've got the failure of the wedding in a 2-page spread. And it is really cool to see how that's all working out and kind of coming together, and it's all been orchestrated by Bane. It's a little funny to see Man-Bat back there since he's currently on the Justice League Dark's team, but we'll just assume that's a random soldier assassin Man-Bat. And then like the whole issue has been narrated by Thomas Wayne Batman, but we weren't quite sure of that until we get to the end, and he says, how can I help you do this? In regards to like how can he help Bane destroy Batman? Which is interesting because I really do like the idea that Thomas Wayne tells Bruce, stop being Batman, I don't want that for you, and Bruce didn't, and these are the lengths that Thomas Wayne Batman's willing to go to help him destroy his son. Also, the thing that I do really appreciate here is that all the villains throughout Batman's Rogues Gallery have tried to beat him by killing him, by hurting him, by causing him pain, and it's never worked. And Bane's method of beating him is to give him happiness and make him realize that he can't do it. He can't take it. And I really, really do like that. That's a really cool assessment, and it's a very unique way to attack Batman. Make Batman happy, and he loses. You know, it's a movie that no one will ever like, but one of my favorite lines in The Dark Knight Rises is, victory has defeated you. The idea that Batman got worse when he was quote-unquote victorious. And I really, really like that. And it's kind of touching at the same idea. Man. Anyway. So yeah, it's a really good run, or a really good issue, especially if you haven't been able to like kind of connect the dots about what's been going on in the run, if you've been off and on it. Clay Mann just does some really gorgeous stuff. Besides, what's her name? Holly bowing there, Gotham Girl, and Psycho Pirate, this is a pretty good lineup of just the Batman Rogues Gallery. It's not all of them, but it's a good chunk of them, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I really like this. It good. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about The Green Lantern, number 8, written by Grant Morrison with art by Liam Sharp. The Green Lantern / Green Arrow team reunited against a terrifying new menace on our streets, space junkies. That's adorable. So some space mafia guys are mad and about some drug business that's going on a planet called Soil, and so the mob boss sends a hitman to go blow up the planet, and then we get a look at said planet, it's Earth, where a guy is trying to get himself killed because there's nothing worth living for. And Ollie has to come out of his hiding and take down the thugs that are going to kill him and ask the guy questions, and Hal shows up and helps. And we're getting the Green Lantern Green Arrow team back together. Yay! It's super fun and cute and adorable! And then they take the guy that was trying to get himself killed to a hospital, where he's missing something, even though he seems to be perfectly healthy. And then they go back to Ollie's place, and Ollie cooks some dinner, and Hal and Ollie talk, and Hal is told that he just needs to be more down to earth to stop, dealing with space vampires and stuff. And Hal's like, all right, fine, let's do a mission together. Let's take care of some stuff. But then, as they're going out to take care of stuff, things just get wacky and crazy as they notice a giant arrow sticking out of a building, along with a giant Robin Hood hat. And they enter the building and find a giant green hand. And a giant green arrow, who is apparently some random-ass Silver Age character like you do. That's from another dimension and uses a belt to exist in our dimension, and it's all crazy Silver Age shit, and he's dying because his belt is broken, and the Earth is going to be destroyed because they're using the energy from his belt to sell drugs to people on Earth and across this dimension, and yada yada. It's all crazy, kooky, otherworldly shit. And it doesn't make any sense, except that it does, and it's beautiful. And Liam Sharp just gets to draw some fucking incredible-looking shit. Like, look at this. This could easily be just a generic space canon kind of thing, but, look at that. Oh, man. Liam Sharp is like H.R. Geiger if he wasn't a pervert. Do I get any love for that in the comments? I feel like that was a really good line. I feel like I deserve some accommodation for that assessment of Liam Sharp's art. Come on, give me some love for that one. Tell me that doesn't look like some shit Geiger would do if he was not a pervert. Anyway, so Hal and Ollie have to work together to shoot a giant arrow to the moon to kill the assassin who's going to try to blow up the world. And then they send him packing, and Hal's like super annoyed that he was supposed to get this down-to-earth journey, and instead it turned into fucking cosmic beings from other dimensions. But that's the true lesson, is there's nothing not cosmic. There's nothing not weird. And yeah. And then we get a tease that Sinestro will be in the story down the line. We're 8 issues into this 12-issue season, as Morrison called it. So when exactly Sinestro is going to work his way back into the story, I'm not sure, but I'm excited to see if Grant Morrison can write Sinestro, because Sinestro is a really tricky character to get right, and I don't think I've ever seen Morrison do anything with him in the past, at least not anything significant. Philip Kelton's all mad at me for my joke about H.R. Geiger being a pervert. Anyway, yeah, good issue. Always a joy to read that book. Once all 12 issues of the first season are out, I'm definitely going to have to just blast through those again, because I think they're going to read even better like that. But it is a really fun weekly book, and I super enjoy it. Alrighty. A monthly book, whatever. Alright, everyone, that's gonna do it for comic reviews. I'm gonna try to get me some work done tonight and on my project, so I can be back with you more frequently. Everyone, thanks very much for watching. Until next time,